Hey everyone. You know, I didn't watch the Raw after Mania, but I did watch clips. I did watch it. Well, I did watch some of it, just bits and pieces here. But I watched a lot of what was going down through YouTube and read what was going down through RingsideNews.com on their mobile app and all that. And excuse me. And quite honestly, it sounds like Raw was good. The Raw after Mania was good. The only question is now, will SmackDown be the SmackDown after Mania, or the SD Live after Mania, be able to live up to that as well? And I think they will, because you got Daniel Bryan as general manager and an active competitor, so I think they'll be okay. And you got to remember, SD Live is also going to be providing surprise returns and debuts and call-ups as well, just like Raw did last night. But I guess the biggest question anybody would have is, what are my thoughts on some of the returns and call-ups tonight? And that was my dog. She's okay. She just woke up. But I'm sure a lot of people are wondering everybody else's thoughts on the call-ups and the debuts, and quite frankly, I think the right choices were made. For the debuts, not the debuts, but for the call-up debuts, main roster debuts. I think they were the right choices. I mean, we pretty much knew that these people will be coming up, be called up. According to reports, several NXT talents didn't board the flight back to Orlando, back to the Performance Center. So so it was like you pretty much knew that those that didn't go back with the other NXT talent were going to remain there to debut on both Raw and SmackDown. And the ones that debuted on Raw I thought were decent. Ember Moon being Nia Jax's partner was a great debut for her. She got a great reaction. And if Asuka's going to go to SmackDown, which I'm sure a lot of people fear is a possibility, then Ember Moon is definitely a good replacement for her, because I think when it comes to opponents besides Charlotte, the closest that's ever been able to be ready for Asuka and beat her is Ember Moon. So I believe the best option for a trade-off, if you will, if Asuka goes to SmackDown, is Ember Moon. I think that's a decent trade-off. I think that's a decent trade-off if that happens with the shakeup. We got the Authors of Pain that debuted tonight. Everybody's questioning why did Paul Ellery get removed as their manager? Is this going to send them down the... Because one thing that the Lex Man said he's worried about because of this sudden change is the Authors of Pain will probably go down the route of the Ascension. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to go down the Ascension route. I really don't. I think what's going to happen is sometimes when somebody debuts or gets called up, from what I've noticed from NXT on Raw, that doesn't necessarily mean they're Raw bound. Then sometimes would mean that Raw is the bigger stage. It's the night after Mania. It's a bigger stage in front of a bigger worldwide audience. So if you want to debut individual or a team that you have the utmost faith in to be your next franchise tag team or next franchise women's wrestler or next franchise males wrestler, then Raw is the best place to do it. Raw is the best place to do it. Even if it means doing the Superstar Shakeup next week, a week from tomorrow, a week from today, I should say, they end up showing up on SmackDown as part of the SmackDown. Now, you kind of get what I'm saying, that even if they made the debut or the call-up debut on Raw, on the Raw after Mania, what I'm saying is that that's the bigger stage. I mean, yeah, SmackDown Live after Mania is going to have a huge stage for call-ups and debuts as well, don't get me wrong. But here, Raw essentially all the time has been the bigger stage. It's literally the night after Mania. So that being the situation, it only makes sense that even with the people that might go over to SmackDown next week during the Superstar Shakeup, if these people, like I said, they get called up, that you have utmost faith in as being your next franchise players or teams, even though if they go to SmackDown, Raw is usually the best place to debut them at, even if they end up over on the other brand. And that's what could happen with AOP. AOP debuted on Raw. It doesn't, like I was saying, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are a Raw-bound team. I mean, it would be great if they ended up staying on Raw and let's say the Bar ends up winning the tag team titles back for the 5th time, or Woken Matt and Bray end up winning the tag titles. There's a good potential beginning championship rivalry and feud any way you look at it between AOP and the Bar, or AOP and the Woken Matt and Bray. So it works if AOP stays on the Raw brand. But if they go to the SmackDown brand, it makes a lot more sense whether you like the fact that Road Dogg's booking this or not, or writing this or not, because you have AOP, a tag team that's been dominant during a majority of its run in NXT, has been dubbed the most dominant tag team in NXT, and them being on the same brand as the Bludgeon Brothers is huge. Is a huge deal, because the Bludgeon Brothers are looked at right now in just a short time as a team on SmackDown. I mean, they've been a tag team before in the Wyatt family unit during the times in FCW, NXT, and then when they made the main roster debut. They've been dominant, but they haven't been showcased as being as dominant as they are now. So when you have a dominant tag team like that, probably going up against another dominant tag team in the AOP, there is money right there, whether you like to admit it or not, because it's going to be like, who's the more dominant tag team? And I would like to see that, whether or not Road Dogg's booking and writing for SmackDown after next week or not. As far as No Way Jose goes, I think No Way Jose will probably remain on Raw. If he goes to SmackDown, then fine. That'd be great. Bobby Lashley's definitely Raw bound. It was great to see Bobby back. And one thing I will give WWE credit with, because this has nothing to do with Impact Wrestling, although it was nice to hear Kurt Angle drop TNA's name. Impact Wrestling's former name. But the point is, what was I saying? Oh yeah. The one thing I will give WWE credit on is, at least before bringing in Bobby and bringing in EC3, they waited to the final appearances on Impact Wrestling were aired. I mean, I want you to notice this. EC3 was in the audience during TakeOver Philadelphia, right? But he didn't officially make an on-air debut for NXT in any form of capacity as an official member of the roster until a week after the episode, until a week after the Impact Wrestling episode where he opened up the briefcase, a Feast of Fired, and the briefcase he was forced, or Jeremy Borash ended up opening up for him, was the Fired briefcase, the pink slip. So, good job on WWE's part to at least make sure EC3's character, EC3 jumping over to NXT and to WWE, stayed in continuity of, okay, this is the last time you're going to see him on this show, but next week you'll see him on NXT. And the same thing with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's last appearance was in Impact Wrestling, I believe it was last week, when that episode aired, and now all of a sudden, a week later, the night after Mania, he's back in WWE and officially part of Raw, in my opinion. So, again, I will give WWE a lot of credit for at least staying in continuity with the with people like EC3 and Lashley, because at least because in context, whether you read spoilers or you don't, in context, it makes it feel more realistic that, okay, 1 week EC3 is on Impact, getting fired from Impact, and now suddenly a week later he's on WWE NXT and being put into that 6-man ladder match at TakeOver for the North American Championship. And then the same with Bobby Lashley. In context, continuity with his character, it's like last week was the last time you saw him on Impact as part of the Impact TNA roster, and all of a sudden a week later, less than that, well actually, let's see, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, basically 5 days later, all of a sudden he's back in WWE and on Raw. So again, I give WWE credit for at least trying to keep it as real as they can, in case people don't like to read spoilers and they want to have that unique surpriseness given to them. But again, yeah, it was nice to see the call-ups that would give the NXT talent that were given the call-ups that they have deserved, that people have been waiting on. It was great to see Bobby Lashley back. And again, I think honestly, I think honestly that just because they make the call-up debuts on the Raw After Mania, which is essentially the bigger stage of the two After Mania editions of WWE's shows, Raw and SmackDown, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to stay on Raw. It could mean that, hey, this is the bigger stage, it's a bigger stage and a bigger platform for them to debut on, for people to get to know them, and for them to get that bigger reaction, so that if next week during the shakeup, a week from today, they end up on SmackDown, at least people will know who they are already. But again, I think if Ember ends up staying on Raw and Asuka goes to SmackDown, that's a good trade-off in my opinion. But, as far as who I think, now the question is, who will show up on SmackDown tonight? That from NXT. And I think honestly tonight, I don't know why, but I think the Iconic Duo is going to make the debut on SmackDown tonight. I don't know what angle they'll be involved in, whether or not they're going to feud with Naomi and Becky and maybe Charlotte. I think Charlotte would be a bigger obstacle for them. Would be a bigger obstacle, probably more potential. A huge debuting obstacle, a debuting opportunity for them. I think that'd be great. And you know what? Everybody's wondering about Carmella. Will she cash in tonight? And I think if she does cash in and she's successful, you got a new faction there, because this is how I think if the iconic duo of Peyton Royce and Billie Kay debut on SmackDown tonight, which a lot of people have been waiting to see them do, they're gonna help Carmella cash in on Charlotte, and then you're gonna have a new. Then you're gonna have a. Not only will you have a new SmackDown Women's Champion, but you'll also have a new. You would have formed a new, a new main roster version of the iconic duo, but now it's the iconic trio. Think about that. That might work. But again, yeah, I think tonight you're going to probably see Peyton Royce, and you'll probably see Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. That's what I feel you're going to get there. I think you're going to get Peyton Royce and Billie Kay debuting, being called up tonight. Honestly, if we don't get AOP going over to SmackDown during the Shakeup, then the one team I think that's going to debut tonight is going to be the team that goes to war with the Bludgeon Brothers. Sanity. Yeah, Sanity I think is going to show up on SmackDown tonight. I don't know why, but I just get this feeling. I think and here's the thing. If none of these call-ups go anywhere and they stay on the brands they debut on, I think the brands they'll debut on will probably be the best logical choices for them. And Sanity would be perfect for SmackDown Live. I really do. Because you'd be introducing a faction, a power group, in Eric Young, Alexander Wolf, Killian Dane, and Nikki Cross. So essentially you'd be bringing in a tag team, which could be in any form, either Wolf or Dane and Young, or Young and Wolf, as well as you'd be bringing in addition to the women's roster in Nikki Cross. So it's a win-win there. So I think that's another group that could, another NXT call-up that's going to happen. And then I think if you go for one more call-up, this is going to surprise people. But I think the next call-up you're going to get, and maybe it's far-fetched because he just debuted in NXT, but I think the next call-up you're going to get is EC3. I think honestly that's what's going to happen. You want to debut him in NXT so that the hardcore fans who are familiar with him can help the established NXT crowd get familiar with him, or remember who he is and then see who he's become. And then I think SmackDown will probably be his debut destination. And I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen almost immediately. I wouldn't. But then again, there is another talent that will probably show up unless they keep him in NXT to get his rematch. And that is Andrea Cianalmas with Zelina Vega. Yeah. I think Almas and Vega potentially are SmackDown bound for tonight. And I think, if not them, then I think Drew McIntyre. Because Drew McIntyre was always associated with the SmackDown brand. I think it's only logical that he'd show back up there. So, in my honest opinion, as far as NXT call-ups go for tonight, I see the iconic duo coming in and debuting either on their own or as part of an angle to help Carmella cash in and become SmackDown Women's Champion, and thus turning the iconic duo into an iconic trio. I can see Sanity debuting as a faction, and thus you have all the components needed for singles gold, tag gold, and women's gold. And then the other three wild cards, then the other three potential ones, you're either going to get an EC3 debut, which would be a surprise. You could get a Drew McIntyre re-debut on SmackDown, or an Andrea Cianalmas debut. So, those are the three I think could happen. And there are other ones as well. Like, I think Lars Sullivan would be a good fit for SmackDown as well. If they say, hey, you're going up now. I mean, the door is open for whoever's going to show up on SmackDown tonight. The door is definitely open, so. But yeah. again, though, like I said with Raw after Mania, just because just because you have your call up debut on one show, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be stuck on that show. It could mean that that's just the show they want to debut you on, showcase you on, and then maybe they're going to move you over to the other show. I'm just saying. Um, so we'll just have to wait and see. There is rumor. Obviously, they did an interview about the Superstar Shakeup with several superstars, and DJ TJP was one of the stars they talked to, and honestly, I think TJP has a point. There's if this shakeup is a superstar shakeup, it should include all entities of WWE, UK, NXT 205. So I think TJP is going to probably go to Raw, because I think he just hinted at the fact that he wants to go after the Intercontinental Championship, which would be intriguing. So I guess wherever they put Seth after the shakeup, that's where TJP would show up. We'll just have to wait and see. But overall, those are my thoughts on the call-ups, on the NXT call-ups and re-debuts that happened on the Raw after Mania, and where I think they may end up or remain, and how, and who I think from NXT is going to get called up, maybe re-debut tonight on SmackDown Live as well. So, but those are just my thoughts and my opinions, and who debuted and who could possibly debut, on those that debuted and got called up on for Raw after Mania, and who I think potentially could get the call up debut for SmackDown Live after Mania. So that's really just my thoughts on it. So let me know what you guys think though down below. Comment if you like. I'd like to hear from you, and I am out.